Hello, I'm Clarisse Fortuné. Welcome to Eye on Africa here on France 24. Let's start with the headlines. Hundreds of Kenyans gathered to mourn the street vendor shot dead by police during recent protests in Nairobi. This tragedy has intensified calls for President Ruto's resignation following his controversial order to shoot anyone caught stealing or vandalizing property during demonstrations. In eastern DR Congo, years of ethnic violence have turned daily life into a struggle for survival in Ituri's province. Survivors with scars, both visible and invisible, will get the report from our team on the ground. A system meant to stop illegal immigration is punishing vulnerable citizens. The backlog of hundreds of thousands of birth certificate applications are leaving many unable to access healthcare or find legal work. So we start in Kenya, where opposition leaders are demanding President William Ruto's resignation over his call for police to shoot those found stealing or vandalizing property during protests. Widespread condemnation as mourners on Friday attended the burial of a Kenyan civilian who was shot at close range by a police officer during a recent demonstration. At least 51 people have died during anti-government protests in the last 2 months. Clémence Vallet has more.
One last tribute to Boniface Kariuki before the final farewell. The young Kenyan street vendor died on June 30th, 2 weeks after being shot at point-blank range by a policeman during a rally. The 22-year-old was selling masks at the time and not protesting. For his loved ones, his death is a tragic loss.
The last 1 week of you staying in the hospital was the toughest for all of us. We were hopeful you would fully recover.
Whoever did all this, let him actually not know any peace on this earth. We are crying tears.
Demonstrations have swept through Nairobi and cities across the East African nation in recent weeks. Thousands of protesters, mainly youth, have taken to the streets to denounce government policies and police brutality. In turn, they have been met with force. Authorities have routinely deployed tear gas, water cannons, and fired rubber pellets. On Wednesday, President William Ruto vowed to end what he called anarchy in the country, threatening looters with severe repression, deepening the divide between him and his people.
Someone who goes out and burns other people's businesses. Someone like that should be shot in the leg, taken to hospital, and taken to court.
The call has prompted opposition leaders to call for his resignation or impeachment, saying the order was unconstitutional.
Cameroon has officially set a date for its presidential election, with President Paul Biya announcing it will take place on October 12. However, he did not disclose whether he will seek re-election. Debates are emerging regarding his candidacy, as some members within his own party are questioning the 92-year-old's fitness and ability to handle another term in office. Indira Ayuk reports.
With less than 4 months to go to Cameroon's presidential election scheduled to hold in October this year, there have been a lot of debate, or several debates, across social media space and particularly in newsrooms in Cameroon. Now, the candidacy, or the person whose candidacy seems to be raising so much dust, is that of President Paul Biya, who has still not officially stated his intentions to stand as his party's candidate in the October presidential polls. Now, these controversies include some big wigs of the regime, like the Minister of Communication and spokesperson of the government, who is not very sure, or who is 50% sure, that President Paul Biya will be standing as the ruling CPDM party's candidate. Meantime, the communication secretary of the ruling CPDM party, Professor Jacques Famendongo, while speaking to the media, reassured that he is 100% sure that President Paul Biya will be the candidate, or the party's candidate, in the October polls. Now, these controversies are coming at a time when some key allies of the ruling CPDM party have resigned from the government. We're talking about Issa Chiroma Bakari, who was the Minister of Employment and Vocational Training and also a bigwig of the opposition efforts NC political party. There is also Bello Buba Maigari, who has been part of the regime for several years, and he is the leader of the opposition UNDP party. Both men tendered in their resignation a few days ago. Now, all of these controversies and debates around the different candidacies are coming just 2 weeks or a few weeks to the convening of the Electoral College, which is to be done by President Paul Biya. Meantime, the Secretary General at the presidency of Cameroon, Ferdinand Gongo, has been meeting with elites from the 10 regions of Cameroon, and speculations arrived that they're talking about the upcoming presidential polls.
Decades of violence have left deep scars in Ituri, a province in Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo. Armed militias continue to clash over land and resources. Massacres are tragically routine, and survivors are left with lasting trauma. Aurélie Bazara-Kibangula and Emmett Livingston report.
Baraka is staring into space. He hardly speaks anymore.
I fled militiamen to come here. I feel better now.
2 weeks ago, militia fighters attacked his village. They killed his neighbors and torched houses. Baraka's mother explains how her son suffered a breakdown and initially had to be restrained because of the experience.
He was a smart boy, but after the attack, Baraka had nightmares. He became violent. We had to chain him up to stop him from hurting anyone or wandering off. With the treatment, he's getting better, and we've been able to remove his chains.
Like Baraka, more than 45,000 people from Ituri have fled the violence to take refuge in the displacement camp of Ro. Rivalry between the Hema and Lendu ethnic groups has led to militia clashes. These armed groups are responsible for unspeakable atrocities, which are the source of profound trauma for survivors. Grace Mugisa is a psychological counsellor at this health centre in the Ro displacement camp. She sees up to 20 victims of violence a day, such as this elderly woman who complains of nightmares. Grace is seeing her for the 6th time in 3 months.
She's been through a traumatic experience. She was with her family and 7 of her relatives were killed. She hid in the blood of her relatives. After a month, she began to relive the scene, how her loved ones were cut off. After the consultation, she felt relieved, and the visions began to diminish gradually.
Psychological care can relieve symptoms and put words to invisible wounds, but healing trauma remains a long way off.
We
take care of the patient. He manages to regain his psychological serenity, but the security situation is becoming more complicated. With information about possible attacks, he relapses, and we take him back in for care. That's the reality of the area. There's nothing we can do, but we try our best.
In Ituri, the mental health needs are enormous. Psychological consultations have exploded. They're up 46% since 2023, according to Doctors Without Borders, a sign of the growing violence in the province.
Ghana's president has launched a new task force to crack down on illegal gold mining and smuggling. Tackling so-called Galamsey was a key campaign promise for John Dramani Mahama and a major concern for voters frustrated by years of inaction. Laurent Bersécher has more.
Standing at attention, members of Ghana's new Gold Bod task force looked on as President John Mahama outlined their mandate and mission.
The Ghana Gold Board was established to dismantle the black market economy surrounding the gold sector. The task force is not just a security initiative, it is a strategic arm of national economic transformation.
Comprised of officers from various security and military agencies, the Special Task Force will be empowered to arrest and detain suspects. It will answer to the Ghana Gold Board, an agency created earlier this year to oversee and manage all of the country's gold-related transactions and exports. The task force is the latest government initiative to tackle illegal gold mining and smuggling a rampant practice that has proliferated in recent years amid a deepening economic crisis and that costs the Ghanaian government billions of dollars annually.
It's estimated that about 600 tons of gold have been smuggled out of our country in the last 10 years. In fact, in the last 5 years alone, approximately $12 billion has left the shores of Ghana unaccounted for.
Illegal gold mining recently became a hot-button political issue in Ghana, both for economic and environmental reasons. Protests against the practice broke out across the country last year, with many Ghanaians expressing concerns over its impact on the environment.
A research unit at the University of Cape Town is taking South Africa's Home Affairs Department to court over a backlog of 200,000 of birth certificate applications. Some have been pending for up to 7 years. Critics say the system, meant to stop illegal immigration, is punishing vulnerable citizens, leaving many unable to access healthcare, finish school, or find legal work. Tom Canetti, Stefan Carstens, and Caroline Dumais report.
Kamani wants to play professional football, but he's part of 1 million South African children without a birth certificate, so his coach says he can't partake in tournaments.
Sometimes I feel like I'm not complete, I'm not the same as other children, I think if I do have one, my things will be like open.
Kamani's mother abandoned him and didn't register his birth. His grandmother applied for a late birth registration 4 years ago, but she's still waiting for a response.
I'm scared because sometimes you think when you die, what must going on with that grandchild? Because no one can help her.
The Children's Institute is taking Home Affairs to court over a 200,000-person backlog of late birth applicants. The rigorous process aims to stop illegal migrants from faking applications, but it has also left thousands of legitimate citizens without access to healthcare and education.
We want a system where when the family does come forward, proactively assist them. Everybody, involved in that case, jump in, immediately sort this family out. It's a very vulnerable situation. The longer you leave it, the older that child gets, the harder it gets to prove the evidence that you need to prove the birth of that child and the link with the mother.
Those who do receive the document at a late age can finally stop living as invisible citizens. Bongi Musa couldn't access any government services until he was 31.
Now the life is better than before. If I want something, I can go to buy the thing I want. I even have the bank. I can get my money through the bank. It's better. It happened to me, so I know now that my children mustn't have this situation.
About 50% of all children in Africa under 5 years old lack birth certificates, and with surging populations on the continent, the UN predicts that number will rise.
And this report on the so-called invisible citizens concludes our program. Thank you for watching Eye on Africa on France 24.